anyonecanweld.com. I'm Glenn.
I'm Ruth.
And we're going to teach you how to weld. I started welding about 5 years ago. Lots of people kind of talked me out of buying a simple welder. And I finally just bit the bullet and bought a little $200 welder, and I started making things. And I realized that I could have been doing this 20 years ago. So that was the inspiration for doing this video.
So my name's Ruth, and I am a journeyman certified welder. I have my red seal as well, and I have my B pressure ticket. I've been welding for almost 20 years and kind of fell into it by accident. It wasn't my first choice in trades, but I love it, and I totally wouldn't trade for anything else.
One of the first projects we're going to build is a simulator racing stand. And as we go further into the series, we're going to add motion to that simulator. So Ruth got to try my finished project today, and we're going to cut to a clip of that and show you her driving. She can still see the smile on her face from it. So give us a couple of words about what you thought about the simulator.
It was really incredible. It was so realistic that I actually started feeling a bit car sick. But the mechanics of it and the way it's put together is really slick.
Well, you certainly have the option of using wood, PVC pipe, or even the aluminum extrusion. The metal has the advantages of being inexpensive. The whole frame will probably cost about $50 in material. And it is also strong, sturdy, and easily customizable. With the cost of the welder and other required tools, you will come up to about half the price that you will spend on this aluminum extrusion frame. However, you will be left with all the tools to do your own welding projects in the future. Now over to Ruth with some safety considerations.
Now, you're going to want to protect your eyes, so safety glasses are paramount. You must have something that covers around your eyes and seals fairly close to your skin and around your nose. Most safety glasses have a UV rating, which is also important considering that when you're welding, you produce UV rays that are more intense than the sun at peak hours. And because welding is hot and you're dealing with molten metal, you're going to want to have some kind of gloves, welding gloves, to protect your hands. These ones are insulated, but you don't have to have insulated welding gloves necessarily. Now you're going to want to protect your face somehow. This one came with a package, and it's going to be your welding visor, your welding shield. It has a lens in it that you can see through, but you're going to hold it up in front of your face in order to protect yourself from the sparks and the arc flash. However, most of the time you're going to want to have both hands free to stabilize yourself and stabilize your welding equipment while you're welding, so you can invest in something like this. You don't have to spend a lot to protect your face.
Now Ruth's going to show us the very basic tools we need to get started welding.
Things that you want is going to be your side cutters. These are awesome for clipping your wire and trimming it down to the length that you need for your stick out, which we'll talk about later. Next, you're going to need some kind of a file, because guaranteed you're going to have some kind of spatter when you're welding, and this is great for getting into those little spaces to clean out that little spatter to make your weld look awesome. Now, depending on what type of welding you're doing, you're going to need some kind of a chipping hammer. Now, this one came in the package with the welder, and that's awesome. This one also has a wire brush attached to it, and all you need it for is chipping off the slag when you're doing any type of welding that would create slag. The brush will in turn clean off the leftovers that your chipping hammer has missed. You will likely need to cut pieces for your project, so the simplest, cheapest way of doing it is going to be a hacksaw.
So the basic tools cost almost nothing.
You're looking at roughly $34, so let's look at the welding machines.
Whether your welder has switches or dials, it controls the voltage and amperage,
which is basically your heat and your wire speed. This little unit can be found on Amazon for roughly $260.
Inside of each welder, you'll find a sheet that acts as a great starting point for your settings.
You can see with all the tools and the machine, we're still under $300.
The ground clamp must be attached to the workpiece, but sometimes that's not feasible, so we can attach it to a metal table and rest the work on the table. So we start each weld with 2 little tack welds to hold everything in place and give us a chance to check our alignment.
If you find that you're having trouble tacking and that your tacks aren't holding, you can try turning up your heat to see if that'll penetrate into the metal a little bit better. Here you can see that I'm just weaving my wire back and forth to join the two pieces together.
So we've got some great close-ups and more technique coverage in episode 2 that'll really show you some of the different techniques. But here's another view from inside of the welding helmet.
This is the kind of view that you can expect to see through your welding helmet. I find it helpful to brace myself to ensure a steady hand and a straight bead.
Like how you've got your elbow resting on the table here.
Flux core wire will generate slag that will need to be cleaned off with a chipping hammer and wire brush.
And then you'll be left with a nice, clean, beautiful looking weld.
Thanks for tuning in.
And make sure you subscribe to catch our next episode.